Hello, welcome my to channel reading book 1984 chapter 4. He was much better. He was growing fatter and stronger every day. If there was proper to speak of this, the wild light and his humming sound were the same as ever, but the cell was a little more comfortable than the other it had been in. There was a pillow and a mat on the blank bed, and the stool to sit on. They had given him a bath, and they allowed him to wash himself fairly frequently in the tin basin. They even gave him warm water to wash with. They had given him new underclothes and clean suit of overall. They had rested his varicose ulcer with smooth skin on meat. They had pulled out the remainder of his teeth and given him a new set of dentures. Weeks or months must have passed would have been possible now to keep count of the passage of time if he had felt any interest in doing so. So he was being fed at the what appeared to be regular interval. He was getting, he judged, 3 meals in the 24 hours. Sometimes he wondered dimly whether he was getting them by night or by day. Surprisingly good with meat at very tire ounce. There was even a packet of cigarette. He had too much, but he never a speaking girl who brought his food would give him a light. The first time he tried to smoke, it made him sick, but he persevered and sunned the packet out for a long time, smoking half a cigarette after each meal. They had given him a white slat with a stump of pencil tied to the corner. At first he made no use of it. Even when he was away, he was completely tripped. Often he would lie from one meal to the next almost without straying, sometimes asleep, sometimes waking into vigor in various in which it was too much trouble to open his eyes. He had long grown used to sleeping with strong light on his face. It seems to make no difference except that on strain were more coherent. He dreamed a great deal all through this time, and they were always happy dreams. He was in the golden country, or he was sitting among enormous galleries, sunlight rain, with his mother, with Julia, with O'Brien, not doing anything, merely sitting in the sun, talking of a peaceful thing, such so as he had when he was awoke, were mostly about his dream. He seems to have lost the power of intellectual effort. Now the stimulus of pain had been removed. He was not bored. He had no desire for conversation or distraction, merely to be alone, not to be in or question, to have enough to eat, and to be clean all over was completely satisfied. By degree he came to spend less time in sleep, but he still felt no impulse to get off the bed. All the cry for was to lie quiet and feel the strength gathering in his body. He would finger himself here and there, trying to make sure that it was not an illusion, that his muscles were grown rounder and his skin thicker. Finally, it was established beyond a doubt that he was grown fitter. His teeth were now definitely thicker than he knew. After that regularity, at first he began exercising himself regularly a little while he could walk 3 kilometers, measured by pacing the cell, and his both shoulders were growing straighter. He attempted more elaborate exercise, and what astonished and humility to find what thing he could not do. He could not move out of a park. He could not hold his stole out at arm length. He could not stand on one leg without falling over. He squatted down on his heel and found that with agonizing pain, thought and cough, he could just lift himself to the standing position. He lay flat on his belay and tried to lift his way by his hand. It was hopeless. He could not raise himself a centimeter, but after a few more days, a few more mealtime, when that feat was accomplished, the time came when he could do it 6 times running. He began to grow actually proud of his body and to cherish an intermittent belief that his face also was growing back to normal. Only when he changed to put his hand on his blood scalp did he remember to examine the rounding face that had looked back at him out of the mirror. His mind growing more active, he sat down on the black bed. His back against the wall and the saddle on his neck, and set to it deliberately at the task of re-equating himself. He had capitulated, that was angry. In reality, as he saw, had been ready to capitulate long before he had the decision from the moment when he was inside the Ministry of Law. And yes, even during those minutes when he and Julia had told us why her iron voice from the telescreen told them what to do. He had grasped the virility, the challenge of his attempt to set himself up against the power of the party. He now knew that for 7 years the South Police had watched him like a beetle under a magnifying glass. There was no physical act, no word spoken aloud that they had not noticed, no train of thought that they had not been able to infer. Even the speck of witness dust on the cover of his diary they had carefully replaced. They had played soundtrack to him, shown him photographs. Some of them were photographs of Julia and himself, yes. Even he could not find a kind of the party any longer. Besides, the party was in the right. It must be so how cold a mortal calculative brain be mistaken by what external standard could you check it? Judgment, since it was statistical, it was merely a question of learning to see as they saw only. The pencil fell sing and evacuating his finger. He began to write down the thought that came into his head. He wrote first in large, clumsy capital. Then, almost without a pause, he wrote beneath it. But then there came a sort of check. His mind, as thoughts shine away from something seemed unable to consider. He knew that he knew what came next, but for the moment he could not recall it. When he did recall it, it was only by conclusively. That's enough. Goodbye.